Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the southern map, playing in blue, we got puppypaw, playing as the Jeanne d'Arc faction, and his opponent. On the west side, playing in red, we got loueMT, playing as the Malians. Welcome everyone to Dry Arabia. Hope you guys are having a great morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hope you're having a great day, and if you're not, maybe hopefully I can go a little bit way to make it a little bit better with some good Age of Empires 4 content. I'd like to say a very big thank you to Portuguese in the Twitch chat. He just reminded me yet again to get the village account on. I mean, I'm sorry, but thankfully we've got Portuguese, right? Guys, in the chat, make sure you, hey, Portuguese, are you actually from Portugal? I'm going to confirm that in a second, but yeah. Thank you so much for the reminder, and YouTube comments, you guys know who to thank. He is from Portugal, so spam the Portugal flags in the comment section. Let's just show a bit of a salute to Mr. Portuguese here, helping us out and taking care of the YouTube village account enjoyers and Twitch village account enjoyers, to be fair, as well. But yeah, great matchup, Jeanne d'Arc versus Malians. I'm excited about this because of the fact that, well, in many ways, before we had Jeanne d'Arc, we had Malians. And the Malians would often play against French, and in many ways, people felt like Malians were a good counter-civ to the French. And so naturally, you'd think they'd be a counter-civ to Jeanne as well, right? But I'm not so sure about it, because Jeanne herself packs a big punch, and when you think about mass infantry, which the Malians do like to go for, they can be caught a crupper with Holy Wrath ability from Jeanne many times. It can happen. We'll have to see how this one pans out. I'm excited because puppypaw and loueMT, of course, two incredibly gifted players. This game is part of the egtcv Elite Classic 2. The very fact that they are in that tournament is a testament to how good they are. Now, a quick question about how good you guys are and have been to me over the, I guess, years, actually. I've been casting for years. I guess we can say that now. It doesn't necessarily feel like that at times, but I'd like to say a very big thank you to everyone on YouTube and Twitch who've been going and supporting on whether becoming a YouTube member or a Twitch subscriber. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you so much. And what excites me about this matchup as well is the kind of dynamic situation we're going to have. The Malians and the Jeanne d'Arc are two civilizations that love to do what they want to do. Jeanne d'Arc loves to be aggressive. They like to get the school cavalry, like to get the knights out, put some pressure on nice and early. The Malians, they like to cow boom these days. They like to get that economy. The big thing for the Malians and the Jeanne d'Arc faction matchup is the power spikes are slightly different. It feels like Jeanne d'Arc had the power spike a little bit early in terms of military aggression. Obviously, having the French Royal Knight, they can do some damage. The Malians, on the other hand, it feels like they want to kind of survive in the early game and make sure they just limit the damage taken, and then think about getting a cow boom. But bear in mind, there is another way to play Malians as well. Something we've come in to have known about them since the beginning they've been released, actually, to be fair. They don't necessarily have a bad feudal age on them. The reason why I say that is because of economy-wise. They've got passive gold generation. They can slowly start to escalate that cow boom. But behind that, they can also get, you know, feudal age units, good ones at that. Donsos and javelin throwers. Two units that are very hard to counter when they're in a good combination, especially against Knight civs. Donsos, they've got a bit of a ranged attack on them. They do throw the spear, and it's a hard counter to the knights. The javelin throws pick off archers like anything else with a good range on them. It can be very difficult for Jeanne d'Arc to deal with. Bear in mind as well, you can, you know, it's about balance. The Malians, I think, in a civilization are so strong because they've got such good balance. They can do feudal age aggression or feudal age, you know, units that are pretty powerful. They've got lots of unique ones, obviously the two we mentioned already. And then the fact that they can also still macro and eco up really nicely with the cow booms. And they can decide the pacing of that. Sometimes Malians will opt for a bit of a greedy approach, go for a double mill cow boom. Sometimes they'll take it a bit slower, just go for 1 mil. Either way, cow boom, when it does start to get rocking and rolling, it's going to be super powerful. And that power does even percolate into the castle age. Going up with a Grand Fulani Coral just doubles down that boom they have in the feudal age with the cows. Getting an extra 20 food per cow. It's pretty impressive. It's a really nice power spike. Every game we cast of Malians, we always see, when they go up with that landmark in the castle age, their food count just skyrockets like anything else. And so that power spike in the castle age is incredibly strong for the Malians. Question in chat, is this game from last weekend? No, this is actually a game from this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure on that, actually, to be fair. But what I do know, it's going to be a banger of a game. But I'm not 100% sure. What I do know is I don't believe this was casted live on egtcv's channel. So the great thing about the Elite Classic, at least for content creators like me, obviously egcv doing such fantastic work for the AoE4 scene and community. There's lots of games that are happening, and they can't cast all of them, and hence why casters like me have the benefit of being able to cast them later to showcase them. Barracks going up for the Donsos, as you'd expect. So yeah, I mean, we're kind of expecting the Malians to posture this way to try and limit the amount of damage they take, and they've got great units to do so, right? Donsos, Javelin Throwers. I like to say in terms of map generation and spawn, if you're new to Age of Empires, the franchise entirely, really, map generation is a big thing. And the Malians, what they love to get is back gold. He's got 2 back golds, which is hugely significant, because he's getting the pit mines nice and safe and secure. And to be fair, not quite yet, but if he walls up to the edge of the map with this wood line, he's got a 3rd back gold. This is looking great for the Malians for a significant period of time. You know, for the first 20-25 minutes in this game, the Malians will not be worried about gold. And the big thing about that is the Malians, their economy is very gold based. The cow boom, which we were talking about earlier on the cast, it's funded by gold. Speaking of gold, when we do head to the sort of 20-25 minute mark of the game, these 2 8,000 gold veins are going to be super important in the middle of the map. And there's pretty symmetrically in the middle of the map. Sometimes you get them kind of a little bit more leaning to the edges. But we might start to see a bit of a meat grinder in the mid to late game if it gets that far, with both players contesting that middle area of the map. It's going to be an exciting one. We'll have to see exactly how these guys look to play it out. Obviously, the initial aggression coming from puppypaw. Now, puppypaw with Jeanne d'Arc has opted for a 2nd town center. We're actually increasingly seeing this, and I like it. The reason why I like it is because just like the French, you know, the French typically would go 2 town centers at times because they can play a very extended feudal age. And Jeanne d'Arc's no different. Like, Jeanne d'Arc can play that extended feudal age. They've got the same units, same equipment. They've even got an extra bit of power with the Jeanne. Now, one thing that's a bit different is the fact that the French, the town centers actually produce villages a little bit faster. They produce villages at 18 seconds per villager. Jeanne d'Arc, just like many other standard civilizations, does take 20 seconds to produce them. But bear in mind, there's one other extra detail. So yeah, sure, the French get a bit of an eco boost right from the get-go. You know, the 18-second villager count timing is nice. But Jeanne can consecrate buildings. And what that means, they can actually reduce the food cost on buildings. And there's actually an upgrade that they can reduce the cost of, you know, food as well as wood and gold for the units. And in fact, we see it here already. The School of Cavalry has that symbol on top of it, which means that the knights will be coming out cheaper. 105 food. It should be 140 food from a standard stable, and it's going to be 100 gold. Now that can reduce significantly later on if it does get the upgrade to reduce the gold count as well. So bear that in mind. So whilst he's not going to necessarily produce villagers faster, he does have the potential to maybe produce them cheaper. Obviously a slightly different bonus, but it's a bonus nonetheless. Going to be getting an archery range as well on the back, so going to be posturing towards that, you know, that standard kind of knight archer play, which is very nice to see for the Jeanne d'Arc. They love to do that. And that's something that the Malians are going to have to try and deal with. I got to say though, Calboom has established itself. Like, there's not been too much damage coming out of the Jeanne d'Arc faction at this point because obviously went for 2nd town center. So the Malians haven't overcommitted. I love this play, by the way. Like, you know, we have to compare it to what maybe say we might see in Diamond ranks and early Conqueror ranks. Sometimes people will overcommit and overproduce, and that will harm, you know, the tech up timings and just the general macro. But he's not overproduced. He's got enough Donsos to hold on, really. Although he's kind of being pushed back with Jeanne. Jeanne kind of a bit of a tipping point here. But he's got double Calboom. In fact, has he got triple Calboom? I think it was double Calbooming, really. Although possibly triple, because he has got 3 mils after all. There's no real reason to have an extra one, other than go for triple Calboom. So pretty greedy on that front, I've got to say. Coming with Donsos on the right side, and he's being a bit aggressive with them, trying to make sure that not all the knights head forward. And that's a nice play, because of course, he does want to keep the gold actively gathering. Now, whilst this is often a big problem for many other civilizations being pushed away from gold like this, it's not as big a deal for the Malians. The reason I say that is getting passive gold, right? Pit mines are working. Holy Wrath ability does come out on the Donsos. And it does have the Manticore gathering 75 gold per minute as well passively. Jeanne kind of weak at this stage. Like, we've got to be careful about her. Can fight with a couple of Donsos. Oh, might lose that knight. Would he get the throw on this? Would he? Yep. Oh, yeah, he's going to get it. Oh, no, just about survives there with 6 HP. Kind of huge. But there's no chivalry, and he might... Wait. He might trap him in. Louis, send the Donsos out. He might pick it off. Oh, he gets it in the end. That's the power of the Donso, guys. Showcased right there. Regular spearmen just wouldn't have cut it there. unless he got a good surround, but a bit harder to do that. Malian's walling on up. And I feel like Malians have got a good spot here because they've got that cow boom. I think the second town center, though, for Jeanne has been critical because he's recognized puppypaw that he wasn't able to do sort of significant damage, and so he's kind of have to try and keep up with that cow boom in some way with the second town center. Now, behind all this, puppypaw will be going to that castle age, and I think, you know, concentration actually goes a long way to do that because the food cost for knights is heavy, and that saving really helps. And it's going to be the guild hall. I think it's a smart play because up against the Malians, the power spike in the castle age for Malians means it's unlikely at this stage of the game that Jeanne d'Arc will get a quick victory. There's just not really in the scope of the way the game is panning out. And so going for the Royal Institute, it's a bit of a... He's not really going to... I don't think he's going to get as much value as he would for the guild hall because this game is likely to go to the mid to late game because of the fact that puppypaw has opted for a second town center. And if he opted for one town center, he would have a lot more units. Possibly could have done more damage, but that's not what he did. He went for a second town center, so the game is going to go relatively long. And the Malians, of course, do Malian things. They've got a great economy either way. And bear in mind, like you see the counter there, 39 villages to 49 or 50 now. Now, the Malian cows don't actually get counted in that number. So the economy is not as far behind. Make no mistake about it, the cow boom is very oppressive. Imagine having 4 town centers. Because he's got 3 mills, so if he was producing cows from all 3, well, he's not now, but if he was, and that power spike in terms of economy boosting is so fast, it's unbelievable. And now with the Grand Fulani Coral, each cattle will be producing 24 food more, and is on that 3rd pit mine as well on the back. To be fair, this one is being challenged, so he's still stuck with 2, but I gotta say, having the golden veins at the back for the Malians has been clutch. It's been so good. And I think part of recognizing that for puppypaw maybe is one of the reasons why he went for a second town center. He has actually consecrated the 2 town centers, both of them, in fact. Because, of course, when Malians have a safe economy like this, again, it makes it that much more difficult to do critical damage against them, right? Because you just move them off from one gold vein, they go to the next, and they're kind of doing okay. So, nice recognition there by puppypaw to go for a second town center. Just bearing that strategic mindset in the top of your heads to think about when to go for a second town center. If your opponent has a great base, then that might be an opportunity to do that because the likelihood of you getting huge value is going to be markedly diminished. Getting some arbitrary for the Sofa. I love the addition of the Sofa. Malians do tend to do this in the castle age to get a little bit of movement speed. We do start to see a bit of a race for relics, I suspect. Guild Hall, by the way, toggle to food, which is interesting. I wasn't expecting that. I was kind of expecting it to be on gold. Or stone, perhaps. But stone has had a bit of a nerf in terms of generation. Jeanne needs to be careful, actually. Jeanne might be sniped. I think probably will do. The Sovereign might just challenge this. Holy Wrath ability does come out, but Jeanne will go down. There she is, and she might just spawn up relatively quickly. She can be brought back with a tribute. Doesn't have the gold for it just yet, though, puppypaw. I gotta say, I've enjoyed this game so far. Lots of strategic layers to uncover, unpack, and discover. It's been a good one. It's kind of trapped there with the Sofa, so puppypaw will pick those off, most likely. But what this does allow is the Malians to get a bit of breathing space, maybe look to pick up some relics. Whether he's got a mosque or not, I'm not so sure. We'll take a check on that. It does pick up a knight, which is actually pretty significant. Gonna take out villagers, trying to wall up here, puppypaw. Doesn't quite manage it. Now he does have a mosque, so quite likely there is. Gonna be getting an imam. And it's got units everywhere. Louis is all across the map. Look at that. Going on the right side, the center, and the left. I gotta say, in terms of players to watch, loueMT is definitely one up there. He's definitely a rising star. An up-and-coming one. And he's showing his quality here. Arbitrary gets a good pick off there on the Sofa. And Jeanne still escalating in the XP gathering. Sofa, though, is getting... This is actually really smart. Like, it might feel like he's throwing away units, but what this is doing is forcing Jeanne to chase. And in the meantime, he is starting to get some walls up, which possibly wouldn't have been happening so safely if the army for puppypaw wasn't stuck at home. He's going to get a couple of villagers. Wait, he's going for the Fast Imperial. Holy moly, loueMT. 15 minutes going with the Ford of the Huntress. Yeah, interesting play. He's really leveraged that Castle Age power spike to give him a lot of space to do this, right? Puppypaw's not going to be expecting this at all. At least I wouldn't have thought he would be. Maybe he is. I shouldn't really think about what he's possibly thinking. There's no way of knowing, but it's come as a surprise to me, that's for sure. Plenty of food and gold still coming in as well. And this is the power of the economy. Like 1,200 food per minute. It is such a markedly big increase compared to his opponent. Doesn't seem like a lot. 300, 400 food per minute. I mean, it's a lot. That's equivalent of 4 French Royal Knights per minute, effectively. Bear in mind, puppypaw has a lot of military, though, so loueMT has to be careful. The good thing is going up to the Imperial Age with a defensive landmark, right? So it'll take time. He's got time. He's bought himself some time with the walling up, although that's not finished. Wait, Louis? Oh, he's working on it. He's working on it with a single villager. Oh, Jeanne does go down, does use the Divine Restoration just in time, but she perishes, and wonder if she'd be brought back with bounty or not. Question in chat whether it gives you infinite food. Yeah, it gives you infinite food. It's a feature. It is by design. So to let you guys know, Aerox is from the AoE. Well, I mean, I think maybe he's getting into AoE 4 at the moment, but I used to play a lot of Age of Empires too, so and cast and stream a little bit, and so Aerox is hopping on in. And yeah, this is a very new mechanic for Age of Empires as a franchise. I think actually Age of Empires 2 does have it with the Gurjaras, being able to garrison, livestock in mills. No, is it Gurjaras? I believe it's Gurjaras, yeah. One of the new civilizations. So certainly a new civilization mechanic for Age of Empires as a franchise, but yeah, these cows generate passively food income. And the reason why I love malians as a late game civilization is the population efficiency. I think in many ways it's really an interesting one, because you think about the English and when they had enclosures, right? And you think about how powerful that tech used to be before it was nerfed. The enclosures was so good because it not only gave gold, but it was also very population efficient. Now actually it's more leaning towards in terms of population efficiency because it doesn't give as much gold as it used to. But population efficiency wise, I feel like there's nothing more that comes down to being better than the malians. Getting passive gold from pit mines, getting passive gold from the landmark, getting passive food from the cows, and food and gold, I mean, pretty important resources to have in the late game. Imam loses the life and looking to get one more relic back in the play. Yeah, that's a very good point, Aerox there. Got to charge on in, Spearman brace. A couple of these hand cannoneers, or Mustafa gunners I should say. Puppypaw still stuck in the castle age. Elite warrior scouts tanking, and I think he's going to get good value. Basically, the elite warrior scouts tanking on that front line, even against spearmen, allows the Mustafa gunners behind them to do all sorts of damage. The arbitrary are going to try and do as much damage as they possibly can, but he's getting surrounded. This could be a big pick-off. He's picking off a lot of units. Puppypaw, he's an age behind, and he's going to be significantly behind in terms of military numbers, or at least he's taking a big kicking in the teeth with this. Yeah, he's going to be down and out in that army, that's for sure. Paris 2, welcome. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're doing well. Hope you are fine and dandy today. Now, behind this red palace, it's going to come up. There's the Imperial Age landmark. Bear in mind, we talked about earlier in the cast the importance of securing these 8,000 gold veins, and both players recognize. Well, obviously, they recognize it. Obviously, this big part of the map, and they're both securing it with their defensive landmarks, the Imperial Age landmarks. So it's kind of an interesting one. I think the more I watch these pro players play, it's really fascinating to see how they carve up the map like this. And this 8,000 gold vein is so important for Puppypaw, as is this 8,000 gold vein for Louis. Now, bear in mind, we talked about passive gold generation with the pit mines. We do have a potential for Puppypaw to toggle this on to gold, passively generating food or wood or gold or stone. I say passively, but it gets stored in the guild hall, and the more you build up, the quicker it gathers. But then you do have to cash it in. Curious that he's opting for food. But certainly he's got a great eco balance. Look, he's spending all his resources. I can't complain. That's for sure. Warrior Scouts, though, being chosen. We haven't seen Warrior Scouts for a long time, but they're making the move onto the field now. Jeanne getting involved. Will we see Holy Wrath ability? Possibly. Spearman numbers decent, but Mustafa Garden is getting good value on this. Bear in mind, the Malians have had that leg up to the Imperial Age a little bit, well, quite a lot faster than the Jeanne d'Arc faction, so the upgrades will be there. These are just regular Castle Age arbitrary, although that's going to change pretty soon. They can become elite ones. And I'm excited because, in my humble opinion, The Arbaletier are one of the best late game units in Age of Empires 4. Not so much as the unit as a base unit, but when they get the Gambeson's upgrade. The additional +5, I believe, melee armor now is absolutely bonkers. It's really hard unit to counter because you think about, okay, how do I counter this? Horsemen, right? Horsemen counter crossbows. When you're up against Arbaletier, maybe not so much. The melee armor really helps. So you start to think, well, what do we do against it? Well, it's siege, right? It's got to be mangonels. Or maybe something that outranges it. The problem with that is the malians know that, and because of the lack of options you have against Arbaletier, Jeanne d'Arc might just head in for siege behind that, and does have herself, who can become a pretty decent anti-siege unit if she does scale into level 4. So I'm pretty excited to see what the Arbaletier can do today up against the Malian economy. Whether those warrior scouts can really start to get us around and do some damage. And the great thing about the warrior scouts is that obviously they're very cheap in terms of, well, they don't cost any gold, right? So it's kind of nice in that front, especially because considering you get free food rather, or passively generating food. It's not a resource that's limited by them or for them, as is with food from farming, but it's just a nice unit to have for sure. Can spam them out quickly, and they're relatively cheap and can be very mobile on the map. Sacred sites coming in. Now in terms of relics coming in, 3 of them already in the bag for Malians and 2 in the bag for puppypaw. Looks like puppypaw can try and get the central sacred site. And he's got the sacred site in the north within his walls, which is kind of nice. So extra bit of gold income for him trickling in. Now, farming transition coming in for Jeanne. We do see a little bit of a lull in terms of military production for both players because of the fact, well, mostly for Jeanne, not so much the Malians. They can keep producing and pumping because, of course, their kind of cow transition is already done. It's been happening for a while. But Jeanne needs to find a way to just hold the lines for a little while whilst until the farming transition starts to come online. Because look at the food income. It's 500, right? This is a really hard farming transition. It's that 20-minute mark. This is always, I gotta say, in many games, in many Age of Empires 4 maps, the 20-minute mark is where things get a bit antsy for both players in terms of farming transition, needing gold to secure in the middle of the map. That's one of the things I love about Age of Empires 4 is whilst you might have a lack of aggression in the early game, you can bet your money that sort of 20 minutes in, you're definitely going to see some action. Jeanne going to be looking to push away all those warrior scouts in the middle all by herself until the spearmen get involved. Trebuchets, Musafadi Gunners. I like the addition of the Musafadi Gunners, by the way. It really puts off the cavalry play from Jeanne, because they would just totally smack him. Arbaletier, spearmen pushing on forward on the west side. I was trying to get the deer camp, but unfortunately won't be able to in the end. Double siege workshop. I love the play, by the way, because loueMT. The reason why I love this actually is because it's that stage of the game where siege becomes really relevant. You've got areas of the map zoned off, and now you need to break your opponent's defenses. And what a better way to start by trying taking down that red palace. People are struggling to maintain unit production. That farming transition, you can see how much it sets him back, right? It's slowly but surely getting there, but this gives so much time for the Malians to be active on the map. It's definitely being active with warrior scouts. I think generally the warrior scouts is giving puppypaw a problem, not so much in terms of how powerful they are, but the fact that he always has to look elsewhere on the map, right? Has to continually react to the warrior scouts, can't let them in, but he's significantly walling up, which will help with that, of course, especially with the stone walls in the north. But look at the gold, he's got 6,000 gold, puppypaw. Absolutely huge. Wait, what's his guild hall doing? Stolen food. Understandably so, getting a keep there to protect. Now we'll have an arbalest emplacement added in because of the Red Palace, a very nice landmark for the Jeanne d'Arc faction. Activates an arbalest emplacement in all keeps and town centres, makes it a bit more difficult for civilizations to break through and do critical damage. Jeanne killing a couple of those warrior scouts, but it's breaking through walls, slowly but surely. Red Palace being repaired. Trebuchets are unleashing 2 of them. Question about how does Jeanne level up? So basically when she's active in terms of building things, gathering things, whether she's active in fights as well. She doesn't necessarily have to be the one killing things, As long as she's within the fight kind of area, I believe, if I'm not mistaken on that one. And then she gathers XP by doing that, really, and then levels up. There we are. She's currently level 3. Chosen the life of a knight, and does have decent abilities, of course. Holy Wrath does a bit of area effect damage. Divine Restoration heals by nearby units. And we just saw Jeanne's champions pop out. Has a Consecrate ability, which we talked about being placed on buildings to reduce the food cost. Warrior Scouts getting involved. Musafadi Gunners. Oh, there's a lot of Musafadi Gunners, though. This is going to be a curious one. I think Musafadi Gunners, so many of them. And if the Arbaletier focus on the Warrior Scouts, it allows the Musafadi Gunners to push on in. He's going to try and... It feels like puppypaw has to deal with the trebuchets, right? He can't just indefinitely repair this palace. I mean, he can if he keeps the resources up, but it's costly. And, you know, obviously, the Malian is definitely extracting a lot of value from these 2 trebuchets. Looks like horsemen popping out for Jeanne. Farming transition continues. And it's going on to wood. He needs it. Arbaletier Masto looking to just get the final upgrades they need. Looking to get incendiary arrows. Increasing the damage of the range units by 20%. Definitely an important upgrade to have, for sure. Heading almost into the 30-minute mark. Now, puppypaw pretty much fully population capped, so possibly expecting him to move out relatively soon. Just until he gets that upgrade. Getting an outpost in the north there, loueMT, just for a bit of vision. Now, bear in mind, in terms of trade, trade is not really a good option for either player. It's a very awkward one, right? Speaking of which, he is trading, though. Wait, what? He's actually trading. That's kind of exciting to see. 40 gold coming in per minute. He's set up trade here. Wasn't expecting it, but there we go. Guildhall has now toggled on to gold. Understandably so, because gold is starting to become an issue, right? Gold expiring in the middle of the map, and I think the matchup's interesting because at least the Jeanne d'Arc faction does have access to gold from the Guild Hall, and Malians have the passive generation. I think without the Guild Hall, this matchup would be very tough. Musafadi Gunners getting a bit gunned down, really, from the Arbaletiers. Have to back away and hold on. Keep going up. Just in front of that gold vein. And that pit mine. Red Palace still under fire, it seems. Warrior Scouts diving on in as a massive meat shield. Musafadi Gunners staying alive, keeping them together at the back. Making sure they survive. Jeanne goes down in a big way. The Musafadi Gunner is going to get good value. I think this is huge. This is a huge fight that I think the Jeanne d'Arc can't take. She has to back away. Arbaletier might go on top of the walls to fight from there, but maybe not. Warrior Scouts getting good value for Louis, gotta say. Red Palace still being repaired. Now loueMT starting to reach that population cap and supply. It's an interesting one that's trading. I like it because I think the pit mine obviously gets you some way, but it's not really enough if you want to sustain heavily powerful units. Oh wait, he's going for the lumber camp rather than... Yeah, this makes sense actually. If you just take out the drop-off point, this is actually the most efficient way to deny economy here with only 4 warrior scouts. It'll take a bit of time to kill villagers, but this way it denies the gathering. Oh, Musafadi Gunner warriors there, kind of exposed. Not enough warrior scouts anymore. Arbaletier pushing that back in a heavy way. All of a sudden, loueMT's on the back foot, has to back away towards that tall outpost. Does have a cannon in placement, so the Arbaletier will not want to get too close to that. Wait, he's taking the fight? I'm not so sure about that. Louis doesn't have the numbers, especially with horsemen trickling in. Gonna retreat to the keep. He needs to keep those gunners alive for as long as possible. Very premium units. That is for sure. But just going a bit further south. He needs to secure wood, right? That's for sure. Thinking of wood. Puppypaw's map generation of wood has been a bit rough. Like, the big wood piles, it feels like a little bit on the side of loueMT and the Malians, and so Puppypaw recognizing that, looking to get a keep in that south position. And it looks like in this particular position, loueMT has to back away, sending in a couple of warrior scouts as a sacrifice to allow the Musafadi Gunner warriors, Musafadi Gunners rather, to back on out of there. Alright, Warrior Scouts. Still chomping at the bit, forcing the horsemen to address that. Now, bear in mind, Louis actually will be aware of this, because he's getting a notification with the lumber camp. It takes another fight. Arbitrary good numbers, taking out a lot of the units on that front line. Musafadi gunners just behind that keep. There is a cannon though that does splash damage. That could be dangerous. He's taking the fight, trying to nail down the siege with the Warrior Scouts. Nice play. The Arbitrary are moving further back to try and defend. I'm not so sure. I mean, he does have a couple of Musafadi gunner warriors here on the south portion. He's taking a lot of the Arbitrary out. I mean, that's huge. The Warrior Scouts, they drag the attention of the Arbitrary in a big way. Does have a mangonel as well. He's pushing on hard. Does have a Springald. Needs to be careful about not losing the mangonel. Springald backs away. And that's a big fight there for the Malians. Villagers heading forward with their torches. What are they up? Are they just going to try and break through? I mean, ultimately, there is a stone wall. So he's going to have to break through that first. I think villagers got a little bit overzealous, the Malian villagers. They just smelt a bit of blood and thought, well, let's go forward and join the fight. Felt a little bit left out, maybe. Wanted to get conscripted. Does now back away, though. Warrior Scouts going onto the wood, and this is huge harassment. It's just a harassment feature. I mean, to be fair, elite Warrior Scouts can kill villagers pretty well. Look at it. He's doing it. He's killed 30 so far. Forcing the army in that direction. Oh, outposting in a big way. Tall outpost with cannon emplacements. Make sure that villagers are possibly caught out if they head towards the gold. And getting and keeping this. I love this. I love this play by Louis. He's recognizing the wood is an issue, right? puppypaw, he's got no wood income. I really love this play by Louis. Making sure he secures up key resources. And to be honest, at this stage of the game, with gold mostly taken, there's still a bit of a gold here. It's all about wood. I wonder if the guild hall will be toggled onto wood at some point, but it gives puppypaw a really rough decision. He might just have to do without siege. Musafadi gunner is going to take out all the horsemen quite quickly, I suspect, if they work on that. Does back away a little bit in terms of choke point. Doesn't want to get caught out by the mangonels, of which there are many. Plenty of siege. So that's where the wood has been spent on for puppypaw. Because I've still those two trebuchets still working on the palace. The red palace keep going up, but really slowly. In fact, does go down. I think there's a horseman there. Yep, working on those villagers. Unfortunately, that keep won't get up. Has to deny. It has been denied. Puppypaw. That's actually massive. I kind of expect him just to hold in that position. I was expecting it to go up, but unfortunately, loueMT wasn't able to get it. Does now take into elite sofa. That's a curious decision, actually, especially with the number of arbitrary. I'm a bit surprised by that. I mean, that's an interesting choice. They're trying to keep the tall outposts alive. They do have the cannon placement after all. But this is a big death ball of siege. I've got to say, puppypaw, whilst he doesn't have much gold in the bank, he's got it on the field. And that's the big difference, I think. This is a big push. I've got to say, siege can often unlock games, and it feels like puppypaw are looking to do just that. 3, 4 Springolds, 2 mangonels. I'm a bit worried actually for Louis. I'm not so sure how he pushes his back. Does have 2 culverins. That's exactly what he needs, really. But I'm not so sure 2 is enough. Not with that number of Springolds. I mean, it might be okay. It really comes down to the micro of this. Looking to decap the central sacred site. Now, let's take a look at the wood situation, right? Denying that keep going up was massive. So we'll have access to a bit of wood there near the Red Palace, and possibly venturing. This is kind of safe for now. Just need to take the Altal outposts, and then it'll be okay going back out there. But puppypaw giving the Malians a bit of space, a bit of breathing room. Coming down to the lack of critical siege, doesn't have anything to take down the Fort of the Huntress. That's the big detail. So yeah, siege is definitely going to be playing a role and a factor from here on out, and therefore wood is super important. Arbitrary out, working on the Musafadi gunners. Oh, mangonels deployed. They don't get the value they wanted to, but that was a close one. Does back away there in the end, the Musafadi gunners. Now bear in mind, the Fort of the Huntress is working for him. The Musafadi warriors and Musafadi gunners gain that first strike, dealing more damage when breaking stealth with an attack. Something to really consider. So these guys, they would actually be in stealth at the moment. Not that he would see them anyway. take down the tall outpost. One still remaining, surprisingly enough. It's been finding it hard work to deal with that. This is buying loueMT a lot of time. It's dragging the army south, and bear in mind that was a strong push coming in for puppypaw earlier on, but loueMT stabilized. Look at the gold income. 2,400. I think the trade is working well for him. It's not like a hugely amazing trade route, but it's helping. 40 gold trickling in. Now, what's kind of fascinating about these sorts of games is that it can come down to two things. It could come down to denial of key resources, namely potentially wood. The other way to play this one out is just to bank up as many resources as you can with a really heavy economy, and then delete villagers and just push on out with a big push. You don't even have to necessarily delete villagers, but if you're ahead economically, build up a bit of a bank, and then just go for a meat grinder kind of push. It's going to break through here with a couple of elites up. This is dangerous, actually. You need to catch up to this. You can't let that go uncontested. Now the question, does he have any keeps back at home to defend with? I mean, to be fair, we'll have the arbalist in placement rather, in the town centres, which will certainly help. Does have a keep here, protecting some of the farms, but these farms are exposed somewhat, quite heavily actually, to be fair. So food income will start to drop. Great food income overall though for puppypaw. Kind of surprising, I gotta say. Like, expecting malians to be a bit better on that front, but it's more population efficiency because the cows don't take any population, of course, so bear that in mind as well. The Red Palace, is it still under siege? Where's it being sieged from? 2 trebuchets, still working hard. Now I would have loved to have been able to see, like, I wish Capture Age on Age of Empires 4 showed you how much damage output a specific unit's been doing, because those 2 trebuchets have been working hard, that's for sure. How's it going, Chaboy? Chai-boy, sorry. Probably should... wait. Yeah, it is Chaboy. How you doing, buddy? Appreciate it. Heading through the middle. Once again. And, yeah, whilst maybe the gold has run out, we did mention earlier on the cast that the middle of the map is probably going to be the area that's contested. We thought it could be because of the gold, but the game is gone beyond that. The gold has been soaked up. Going around the back, though, still getting good value. The raid's kind of hurting puppypaw a little bit. And that mobility really helping out the malians, which is kind of interesting, right? You kind of expect jeanne and, you know, night civilizations like that to have the mobility advantage. It's actually the malians dealing out damage. Holy moly, that's a lot of siege, guys. I think the wood situation for the malians has just been a lot better. Enabled to afford a lot of siege. I'm just about to creep on forward. Cavalry sacrificing themselves, but maybe the mangonels will deploy. They are deploying now. Arbitrator is having to back away. Takes a massive shot on them. jeanne goes down. Another massive shot. puppypaw has to get out of there. Does have springles, but there's just still 3 mangonels working hard. Does get another shot. Oh, the arbitrator do dodge that time, although a couple of them died. But massive shots already. Another mangonel shot, pushing the arbitrator back once again. Gets another massive shot. He's got to be careful. The Musfadigani warriors going to follow this up. Siege is working really well for the malians. Does have a couple of mangonels there, jeanne, but going to get sniped potentially. Does lose 1 to the elite suffer. And the Musfadigani warriors moving further forward. They can take down this outpost. Decent outpost placements. We'll have to check a lot along the lines if they do have emplacements in them. It doesn't have anything in them, really. So kind of only for vision at this point. Springald numbers still pretty healthy. Does take out all the mangonels after all that the malians had. But the Musfadigani warriors, they're pushing on out. Does still have 1 mangonel alive. Arbitrator is doing good work as well. I think the malians have to back away. Kind of running out of steam a little bit. jeanne has held. At least her countrymen have. She died quite quickly though. But she'll be back, no doubt. And we start to head to that meat grinder situation. And I've got to say, the food bank for puppypaw, it's looking a bit bonkers. Looking very bonkers. He's got 5,000 gold stored up in the guild hall. And he's starting to get trade online. But the trade route, it's, to be fair, it's about as good as the malians. Malians getting an extra 6 gold per trade route, I believe. To be fair, that's a significant amount when you're comparing it, you know, like for like. Taking the engagement to, well, just 2 culverins down the back line for puppypaw. Doesn't get on top of the siege just yet. Musfadigani warriors are in really good numbers. That's what's really pushing this back, I think. But relatively even numbers on both sides. Turning into a bit of a meat grinder. Anyone's guess who's going to win this? A bit of a breach in the walls in the north, and he's going to try and get palisade walls just to stop the re-walling up. And this could be huge, actually. If it denies the trade, if he goes on top of the farms, getting a ram or two as well, making the villagers torch them down. Bear in mind, they do significantly less damage now. Getting a keep, this is huge. Looks like loueMT keeping the army in the middle as well, keeping puppypaw distracted somewhat, moving in the north, coming in, breaking on through. And a gold income. Yeah, that's struggling. Gold income is struggling for puppypaw in a big way. And bear in mind, the guild hall does have that 5,000 banked up. So maybe he'll take it, but it's harder to rely on this kind of massive injection than it is for a regular trickle. He doesn't want to cash it in unless necessary, because he wants the big payout. Jeanne back at home trying to defend the farmers, coming up with another keep. That's a really strong position right on top of the production. This could be game ending, I gotta say. Gonna deny some farms, but more importantly, he's gonna get a lot of the map carved out, and especially wood. Like, where is puppypaw getting wood? Is he actually getting wood? I mean, yeah, he's definitely getting wood. He's got 27 villages on wood. Where are they exactly? We'll check on that in a second. He must be sneakily gathering wood somewhere. Possibly it was in the north, but it's been counted now. All over the villagers, yeah, they should get that in the end. He's pushing on in. Does have 80 military though, puppypaw, so there are somewhere. The villagers moving away. I think these were the wood villagers actually. They're having to relocate. Either way, he's being pressurized a lot. This is a heavy army. Puppypaw struggling to deal with it. Has arbaletier, but not much more than that. Has a lot of siege. 2 cannons. Gunner warriors. Trying to focus on the arbaletier. The arbaletier are absolutely melting. Look how much damage they do. First strike definitely helping. Oh god, the arbaletier numbers, they are dwindling. Does have boiling oil as well. So any new units popping out from the stables. Wait, what are these guys off to? Oh my god, they're kind of stuck. They're not doing anything. Puppypaw struggling. Musafied Gunner Warriors. Now, Jeanne is up to tier 4, but uses the Holy Wrath ability on the Gunners. Gets good value, but she's being mowed down a little bit. Down to half health. Now, they keep about to go down potentially because of the cannons, and that's helping. Does have 2 mangonels as well. Jeanne's champion's about to join the fight once again. But look at the siege. Just so many culverins there from Louis. That's going to be really difficult to deal with. Coming in from 2 angles. One in the center, one from the north. 2 rams getting good value, and that's forcing... I mean, ultimately, there's no melee units in the north, so the infrastructure is going to be going down. Does lose the keep, though. And this is that standing ground, that standing area to fight with. Oh, mangonels could be sniped. That's a lot of horsemen. That's a good pick off. A lot of culverins. He's going for the culverins, the expensive units, and he's going to get a lot of them. Cheap way to deal with them. Horsemen getting rid of them. They're kind of... Are they... They're still hailing up a little bit. He might survive with a few of them. He's coming out. If he can get some villagers out there. Oh my god, he actually... Wait, what? He didn't lose a single one, I don't think, in the end. That's absolutely... That's mad. That's actually mad. The horsemen, they didn't achieve what they needed to do, and he's under all sorts of pressure, being pushed hard. And that's an army. Not losing any of those culverins, that's a bad situation for Puppypaw. He's got springolds. He's got 2 cannons. Might take out the second keep as well, but this has brought a lot of time for loueMT to try and establish himself in the middle again. He's denying trade. That is massive. Big cold denial. Now he has cashed it in. He's cashed in the guild hall. So we'll have some gold for the short term. But look at the gold reserves. I think loueMT... We talked about having a meat grinder and having reserves of gold. loueMT has that, and it's growing. 2,500 almost coming in per minute. He's on stone, but he's going to lose those villagers. We've got a couple of Musafied gunners there to push on that. Jeanne goes down once again. That's an arbaletier mass. Wait, the springolds, they don't want to engage just yet. He's backing away. He wants to take out the springolds first to allow the mangonels then to push on forward. Does have a lot of coverage to do that. Arbaletier, don't want to get too close to that keep. Does have a cannon in placement after all. Massive patch of wood for the malians potentially to take if they need to. Add in some trebuchets. I like that actually, because it forces Jeanne to deal with that at some point. He's going to ride on in maybe. Horseman. Arbaletier. Jeanne about to get involved as well. Charging on in. This could be huge. Jeanne's still gathering XP, but not for no real benefit at this point. Soffer diving in. Elite Soffer at that. Arbaletier going to take care of that pretty well. Jeanne still alive. Oh no, she just died. She just died. Gunners working hard on the back line. A couple of horsemen trying to snipe out culverins if they can. Springald numbers going down. Cannons going down on the back line. If the siege goes down to puppypaw, that will be game over. Still 2 mangonels dealing all sorts of damage. I love the gunners on front of the trebuchets, keeping them alive. 3 trebuchets. This is looking bad for puppypaw. Gunner warriors. Gunner warriors, I keep saying that. Moose fighter gunners. They're moving further forward. Arbitrary mass still good though. But they're being pushed back heavily. Those mangonels going to keep on pushing on forward, and the pressure mounting for puppypaw. Has got to find a way to deal with those mangonels. The trebuchets unpacking on the keep. I love the trebuchets getting that ranged siege damage involved. And we've got a couple of villagers, by the way. He's repairing the siege. Eddie, Soffer, diving in. A bit too close for comfort. Too many arbitrary to deal with that. Springald's engaging once again, trying to focus on the mangonel. Does get one down. Does have a bombard and culverin. They're going to work on the Springalds maybe. Needs to take out the Springalds if you can here, the malians. He's taking them out. They're retreating. Arbitrary mass still decent. The malians, they're trickling in further units, cavalry units at that. Numbers looking pretty healthy though still for puppypaw. He's really going for the arbitrary. We talked about how powerful they are in the late game. And clearly puppypaw believes in them too. So he's definitely not out of this. I think gold's an issue though. Gold is a significant issue for puppypaw. Does have to trade back and running. Let's see how many traders it's got. It's got 4 so far, unfortunately. Traders for loueMT. This one? Yep, 36 of them. That is a big difference. And it reflects in the gold, that's for sure. About to engage once more. That's a lot of Springalds though for puppypaw. Yeah, he has to move the siege back, Malians. He has to respect that. That's a lot of Springalds, holy smokes. He's got to micro them well. Mangonel's edging further forward. Just always threatening to attack. Now the range of the gunners is 4 tiles versus the arbitriere's 5 tiles. An absolute meat grinder of a game. 47 minutes in. And still no idea who's going to win this one. But look at the food bank for puppypaw. Holy smokes, almost 20,000. That's insane. About to engage just once more. A couple of cavalry units for puppypaw, but not many remain now. Soffer diving in for Louis. Trying to get wraparound maybe from the south on those Springalds. No, can't really. Arbitrary mass looking too good. He's fighting underneath the keep though, which is not ideal for puppypaw. Both players lost a couple of units, that's for sure. Jeanne trying to get rid of the Toll outpost. Now, it's understandable that she's using this because Jeanne does get plus 200 damage versus building. Already does 50 damage, so 250 damage against the buildings. Pretty significant. Considering she barely takes any damage from those as well. So definitely a good way to clear up those Toll outposts. Trebuchet's working hard. But Springalds masses, I feel, is what keeping puppypaw in this, right? Because Louis had a massive siege, which has started to dwindle a little bit compared to what it used to be, and it's because of the Springalds. 3 mangonels deploy. Obligé do get out of the way. Wait, Obligé's got to be careful, puppypaw. One false move, and it could be all over. But he's being careful. Puppypaw, one of those players, obviously very adept at micro. A couple of villagers and willing to back away. Jeanne could pick that off otherwise. Yeah, I'm sticking with 4 traders, so long term, it feels like eventually the game will go in the hands of Louis. Because of the income of gold, I feel like that's a really decisive factor. Like, the difference between 20,000 food and 5,000 food is just actually kind of not that significant, because of course, it's not a limiting factor in what can be producing. The real limiting factor is gold, and I think he must have cashed in a little bit more gold from the guild hall once again. Yeah, no, maybe not actually. He's got 2,000 in the bank. Maybe he's going to trade. Maybe traded some food for gold. Maybe that's how he could use that extra food he's got. But raiding coming in once again. Jeanne going to try and sweep that up, but she's only one lady. She can only do so much. It's pushing him down in the middle. This could be a death ball. This could be tricky, actually. I'm not so sure puppypaw has enough to do with this. It's going to come down to the siege micro, I think. If the Springles can take out the mangonels, there's a way to come back. 2 culverins, though, for loueMT. We'll have something to say about that. He's definitely engaging loueMT. It is go time. The Gunner Warriors, the Mustafa Gunners, going on top of those cavalry, and is absolutely wiping them out. This is not looking great for puppypaw. Starting to lose the siege engines. Arbitrary Mass still alive and kicking, but it does have a mangonel, which could work on the Mustafa Gunners. Jeanne perishes quite quickly. Does unpack on the mangonel on the Gunners, but they do go for spread formation. Does lose another mangonel on the malians, and he's struggling. He's losing the siege, actually. Malians has to back away. The hold is real for Jeanne. She has held. Not for the first time in the game. And the pushing in, it's just being so... It's so hard for malians to really breach this. He's making some strides in. Now, almost has enough stone for a keep, by the way, the malians. Could just buy one. A little extra bit of stone and would have enough. Trebuchets, again, working on this keep in the southeast. About to dive in once again. Just a bit of throwaway of these warrior scouts. No real concerns there. Tanking against the horsemen, allowing the Donzos now to back on in. Well, he's starting to lose the Springles. Wait, puppypaw, he overextended with the siege. Culverin's getting good value. That was huge. We talked about the game being unlocked with the siege fights, and it feels like Malians maybe, just maybe, got the better one there, the better of the fights. And has the Culverins, but no mangonels remain. Horsemen diving in. Mustafa Gunner Warriors in decent numbers. Arbitrary behind them. This could be really tricky for the Malians. He needs to get on top of the Arbitrary Mass if he can. With the Mustafa Gunner Warriors, the Warrior Scouts are actually tanking a lot of the Arbitrary fire, allowing the Gunners to do what they can. Does have a cannon behind the stone wall, actually sneakily placed. Oh no, 2 mangonels. Puppypaw, he's got to get out of there. Oh, it takes a massive hit, but actually they survived a decent amount. Another mangonel shot. That was a bad one for him. He suffered. Oh, that's a massive one on the Arbitrary. A lot of them were weak, and they do go down in big numbers. Horsemen, though, trying to get on top of the Mustafa Gunner Warriors, Gunners if they can. 2 mangonels still alive, but they're about to go down to the horsemen most likely. Coming with a further 2 mangonels. Plenty of cover in. Wait, there's a lot of siege. That's unprotected. Gunners trying to hold on. That's a lot of Arbitrary there for puppypaw. This is a huge meat grinder of a game. This is not over. Not by any stretch of the imagination. That siege ball, though, still alive for the Malians. But Arbitrary still alive and kicking. It's kind of unbelievable to think that the Arbitrary Mass has held for so long. Jeanne's champions getting involved once again. Mangonels. Oh my god! The Arbitrary needs to be careful, puppypaw. He's running on thin ice, and I think he just cashed in another bit of gold from the guild hall. That's exactly what's happened. So he survives a bit longer. One thing to bear in mind is loueMT has lost a lot of units, and he's struggling on food, by the way, in a big way. That bank of food, you know what, I take it back. I actually really take it back. I was saying there's not much of a difference between 20,000 food and 5,000 food. Well, actually, loueMT's lost all his food, the reserves. So now it's kind of playing a role. I stand corrected, because if puppypaw decides to push out now, it could be very dangerous. The military number's not there for Malians and Louis, by the way. This is big. Like, if puppypaw recognizes this, if he pushes out his 200 population capacity, basically, if he jumps on the siege, it's relatively unprotected. This could be massive. There is a window of opportunity. It's just about puppypaw recognizing it, and we might need to send a scout maybe further forward to see exactly what's going on. It's easy for us to know about it, though, of course, because we see everything. He is now back on wood. Looks like the Marline's going to try and protect this wood line with a keep. About to take the engagement. Wait, he's recognized it. He's going to go up top of the culverins. This is huge. loueMT might lose everything in a flash. He's going on top of the culverins, but lots of mangonels. But they're exposed. He doesn't get the kills he wants with the mangonels. The mangonels do pack up and leave. The horsemen not in good enough numbers, though, I'm afraid. And the mangonels survive. If he had everything, maybe it could have worked, because he does have a bit of force in the south, but he's going to take out Toll Outpost, maybe get a beginning of a raid, and he's going to spot the trade now, if he didn't know about it already. That's a lot of dead horsemen for Jeanne. Pushing on in. Keeps a couple of gunners there on the south. Going to wrap around on the horsemen. Well, the horsemen going to wrap around them, but I don't think they're going to survive, really. They get absolutely mown down. But he is trading a kind of non-gold unit for the gold unit, so that's kind of... I mean, I'm just trying to make the best of a bad situation there. He did lose a lot of horsemen, but he's got a lot of food in abundance. It's kind of the wood cost that kind of hurts on that front, but ultimately, not too big of a deal. Well, it could be big of a deal if he doesn't have enough to protect these siege engines. Does have gunners there to deal with the horsemen. Mangonel deploys on the arbitrator, just about gets a good few shots. Arbitrator though back away. He's got springald numbers once again. And all of a sudden, puppypaw has gained a bit of map control in the middle. He's pushing on out. It's what he was up against before, but I don't think he's got enough to sustain this. The siege starting to push out for the malians once again. Added in a couple of donsos, which I like that will brace against the horsemen. Arbitrator working hard. And he's pushing forward with the siege again. Malians. The problem for puppypaw has always been the mangonels, and it continues to be so. Gunners starting to move their way forward. Mangonel. No, not this time. This time, that's a big choke point. If he gets hit on that, that could be massive. He just about gets away with it. But not for the first time. He's retreating. Wait, that's a massive Mangonel shot on the arbitrator. So many go down. So many dead bodies. Slowly but surely, he's pushing on in again. I think this time it could be over. And we've said that before, though, so could be wrong. That's a lot of Mangonels, I've got to say. That's a huge number of Mangonels. Springals, though, getting involved. 3 culverins. They need to work their heart out. If those Springals go down, I think the game will be over. Mangonel's about to deploy. Horseman numbers. Arbitrator. Oh my god, it's a massive hit on the arbitrator. Puppypaw losing a massive chunk of the army. Another shot, and I think Puppypaw might be down and out because those Mangonels now can even just trade against those Springals. The Mangonels just focus on the Springals and he'll be fine. It's got culverins as well. This is not looking good for Puppypaw. This push is heavy. Gunners protecting the horsemen. Protecting the Mangonels from the horsemen. Culverins working on the siege engines on the back line. Springle numbers down to 4. He's losing them. He's only got 3 remaining. Mangonel's still alive and kicking. They're not deployed just yet. Jeanne trying to snipe them out as quickly as possible. Mangonel still deploying on the back line, but doesn't get anything that time. Holy Wrath ability comes out for Jeanne, but before she dies, Arbitrator Mass going down. Mangonel's getting huge hits. Springall's down to 1 only, and Puppypaw under all this pressure. I don't think he can hold. The question is he going to tap out? Is he going to find a way to come back somehow? Mangonel deploys once again on the Arbitrator Mass, and that's got to be it. He's just lost so many. Horseman trying to get a wraparound, but Gunner's going to deal with it. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Puppypaw taps out. A great game of Age of Empires for the Malians. Coming out on top. What a cracking game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. And hopefully, take care and see you next time.